Hi guys, welcome back to Message from Mull. And this is the third in our sequence of sleep improvement. And so far we've looked at the benefits of a good night's sleep, how much sleep we should be getting, and the effects of sleep deprivation, along with the different mechanisms of sleep, so why we actually nod off, and how to reset your body clock. And today we're going to look at different types of sleep. Now, there are, in a nutshell, two different types. If we were getting all scientific, it would be more like four, but we're going to try and keep it reasonably straightforward and easy to understand, as much for me as for you. And the two different types of sleep are non-rapid eye movement sleep and rapid eye movement sleep. Now, the rapid eye movement sleep is often referred to as your dream sleep, your dream sequences, and non-rapid eye movement sleep is a kind of deeper sleep, which is more involved with memory storage. Now, we tend to move through 90-minute cycles when it comes to our sleep patterns, so about the length of a football game. And we go into deep sleep and then we gradually come out, and as we're coming out, we tend to come into our dream sequences, and then we revert back into deep sleep. During the day, when we're awake and information gathering, we refer to this as reception. So taking in information, facts, figures, throughout the day. When we actually get to sleep, we move into what we call reflection. So this is our non-rapid eye movement sleep. And basically this is our memory storage. So information that we've gathered during the day, during the reception stage, we then transport into our hard drive, basically in our head. And hopefully we retain that information. Your dream sequences are known as integration. And this is when we kind of make sense of the world. So dream sequences, as you probably know, are quite chaotic. And sometimes hard to understand. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to them. But basically, we take information that we have gathered that day, combine it with information from the past, places, people, experiences, and we put it into a sort of a cocktail shaker. And that process helps us to kind of recalibrate and, as I say, make sense of the world. So it's how we connect facts and experiences. It makes us more innovative, and it makes us better at problem solving, and it enhances our composure. So it helps us to make more logical decisions. And what you find is that when you strip away that type of sleep, for one reason or the other, then we start to suffer mentally much more. And if you were to strip away non-REM sleep, which is our memory processes, then we really start to struggle to learn and retain information. Now, interestingly, a couple of things that affects these types of sleep. Your REM sleep is stripped away by alcohol. So although some people will have a drink at night and think it helps them to sleep, it might knock out their sort of cortex in the brain a little bit. It might help them to get to sleep, but actually they won't be getting the same sort of dream sequences that they normally would have done. And long-term alcohol use then can lead to serious mental health concerns. And we often have a drink sometimes if we're stressed, thinking that might help the process to calm us down and maybe get us a good night's sleep, where actually the opposite is very much true, because it's going to strip away the elements of your sleep that are really going to help you deal with a stressful situation. And interestingly, when it comes to teenagers, the deep sleep that we tend to experience near the end of our sleep pattern, so maybe in the early hours of the morning, that's really crucial for memory storage. So I've mentioned in this little sequence before that teenagers are natural owls, so that it's in their DNA to go to bed a bit later than perhaps most of us, and to wake up a bit later. But we drag them out of bed at an early time So our school start times are early, and especially when it comes to exam times, then this combination is really exacerbated because we're getting them up early. We're asking them to cram lots of information in, and they're trying to do that perhaps late at night. And if they start to lose out on some of their sleep patterns because of that process, their ability to learn and retain the information that they require for the exams is significantly compromised. So long term would be much better with later start times for school, and also not to cram all our exams in at the same time, because we're really putting them up against it when it comes to try and retaining information. One of the other things that tends to happen when we start to lose both of these types of sleep is we suffer something called a microsleep. Now, a microsleep is one of those, okay? It lasts maybe about 2 seconds, and it's something that I'm sure we've all experienced it sometimes. The problem is that if we get more and more of those little microsleeps, then the likelihood of one of them happening when perhaps we're behind the wheel increases. And that's a real concern, because doing one of those at 30 miles an hour, you change lanes into incoming traffic. So sleep deprivation really is something that we should really focus on, especially for those who are perhaps spending a lot of time out on the road and driving. And it should be in the forefront of our mind when we decide to use a car, as to whether we're getting enough sleep and are we putting ourselves at risk. And just to give you a little example, if you were to have no sleep one night, then your response time would reduce by 400%. Now that's quite significant. So just to wrap this up, what we need to remember is there are essentially two types of sleep. Our non-rapid eye movement, our deep sleep, is responsible for our memory storage, and if we lose out on that type of sleep, then we reduce our concentration, we reduce our focus, and the memory vault will be locked, which is like one of those situations perhaps when you've been looking at some information, trying to learn it, and it's just not going in. If you're sleep deprived, that's what's happening. Somebody has closed the memory vault door and nothing is going to go in. And if we lose REM sleep, which is our dream sequences, then we tend to suffer from mental health issues. The final part in this little sequence next week will reflect a sort of pouring petrol on the flames response. So when it comes to sleep deprivation, how does our modern world tend to make these problems much worse, and what are the pitfalls that we really need to look out for going forward? Have a good day, guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.